Hey, this is our podcast.
Hello,
how's it
everybody.
going?
Welcome to your first podcast for this week.
We're the Riot. Some of you know. Some of you are just now finding out for the first time.
If you just joined us, you're like, hey, what's this podcast? They have a lot of episodes. Maybe I'll start listening to this. Hopefully you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. So in the show today, you're going to hear us talking about the WWE. And it's going to be very clear that we don't understand. We talk about the bomb squad and restaurants. Electricity in Texas
not
feels
the
like
bomb squad and restaurants. You'll see the bomb squad is about its own story, and then restaurants afterwards.
yeah, but they probably go to restaurants too.
I'm just making sure they know, like, oh, what happened? It's its own thing.
We talk Superman and Lois, which starts tonight. No, tomorrow night. Let's see, how to disguise yourself to get the vaccine, maybe, and bribing your way out of quarantine.
Perfect. Lots of good stuff today.
I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of this wonderful show that you guys have crafted?
Well, thank you for listening to the podcast. Like, you know, we should be thanking you guys every day for joining us. But thanks again for tuning in for another edition. And text us and say hi. Text 877 to RadioU. Put you're a podcast listener. And, of course, include your name. And then we'll say hey back when we're in the studio next time. So make sure to text us a story, too, if you find something you want us to cover.
All right. Well, you guys have a great day.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
We've got an archive of everything stupid the Riot has ever said at your fingertips. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
So I thought, Nikki, that you and I could make just an easy mention and a good laugh. And I had the mention and the laugh, and I had it all lined up, and it was going to be great. And then I was like, well, I should dig down one more layer just so I understand this better. Nikki's going to ask a follow-up question. I'm not going to have the answer.
And we're going to want the answer.
Let's have the answer on site. Let's be ready for the follow-up question. But the more I dug into it, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, I do not understand what happened last night. So the WWE has a new champion now.
Okay.
Last night they had a pay-per-view event. So Drew McIntyre is now the champion. Nope. I'm sorry. No. The Miz is the champion. It looked like it would be Drew McIntyre, and this is where I started getting confused. Miz cashed in the Money in the Bank contract and stole the title.
Okay, so was there controversy about it, I guess?
Yeah. I guess.
Okay.
So Daniel Bryan won the SmackDown Elimination Chamber match and then lost to, and this is where it gets even more confusing to me, Universal Champion Roman Reigns. So there's like the WWE champ, and then there's the champion of the universe.
Yeah, probably.
That's like, I'm president? Yeah. Well, I'm emperor. I'm emperor. Well, I'm emperor of the universe.
So are you saying you wanted to try to give some WWE news, and then the more you got into it, it's kind of hard to follow through all of it, especially if you haven't followed it in a while?
I guess, yeah, because, I mean, it seems like maybe I'm capable here of giving news, but no analysis. Like, everything I just said is technically news.
Sure.
Like, yeah. But do I understand it? Can I help you understand it? No. The part that I thought was really funny that I loved is that when it was over, they have some like live broadcast follow-up WWE talk thing where everybody with a watch along, and that's obviously sponsored by DraftKings in a really big way because they've got signage everywhere, but they are also sponsored by this corn dog company because everybody's
they holding corn. Please don't tell me they're holding corn dogs.
They're eating corn dogs.
That's what you like, right? That right there.
So like who is this? I believe, no, it's not Mark Henry. Whoever it is that won the U.S. title, which is something else. He's out there just standing, doing the interview, eating corn dogs. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure.
That feels right, doesn't it? I don't think it feels wrong.
No, but it was an image I wasn't prepared for. It's like, is he eating it? Yep.
He's eating corn
it's even mentioned. It's mentioned in the tweet. Obviously a sponsor.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that was the WWE last night. They had some stuff going on, and there was corn dogs. So there's the two main takeaways from that.
There was corn dogs.
Well, I mean, you want sponsorships, so that seems like a nice one everybody would enjoy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess, you're watching at home. Where else are you going to get a corn dog at this hour? You buy a frozen corn dog.
So is the WWE still on its thing, or did it move? Isn't it supposed to go to Peacock? Did that start already, or does anybody know?
Hey, do you remember what I told you when we started about the follow-up question?
Oh, you wouldn't know the answers to any other
I didn't get that far in.
I was just curious because I saw a few people who were canceling like the WWE thing because they didn't want to go watch it on the Peacock network. So.
Oh, Peacock Schmeacock.
The Riot. Just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not good. Wait, isn't that exactly what it means? It's The Riot on Radio U.
I'll tell you what we know about. We know about food. We know about disco. So when disco and food come together, any local home can become a discotheque in this stay-at-home world in which we live. Nikki, the people at Nestle have done it. They've talked about it. They've discussed it. They may have even previewed it a bit. But now, in Walmart, you can find the disco semi-sweet morsels with edible glitter Toll House chocolate chip cookies.
That's a lot there. I didn't know we wanted this. Is this something that was around, like they're bringing back, or is this a new, what is it called? A disco cookie?
I'm sending it to you. Go ahead, click the link.
Let's see what it
looks
looks
like.
like.
It's right there on Instagram. It's a chocolate chip that, you can, and don't limit yourself. You can put a chocolate chip in just about anything.
That's true.
I mean, if you think about it, like, hey, peanut butter sandwich, put some chocolate chips on it. Hey, toast, put some chocolate chips on it. Hey, I'm making eggs, put some chocolate chips in there. Maybe not on the eggs, but you can. Maybe that's not the best example.
So is this, it's just a bag of chocolate chips, and you can, there's semi-sweet morsels and glitter morsels, so they're both combined. Now, going back to a few years ago, there's coffee drink used to be really popular that had edible glitter in there, and I always remember when we talked about that coffee drink, a lot of people were really adamant about the fact that there's actually technically no such thing as an edible glitter. This one is just like able to pass. Like you can have this one. It's allowed to be eaten, but technically it's not like we should be having all of this, like a whole bunch of glitter, even if they say it's edible.
Two things here. One, Nikki's right. All glitter passes through.
That it does. So that's one.
You figure out what that means. In some ways, you're getting glitter twice. Isn't that exciting?
Wow.
And first, I'm just a little, now, not a lot, but I'm a little concerned by what you said when you started. And you said it's just a bag of chocolate chips.
Well, I wasn't sure if it was, like the pull-apart cookie dough that you can just make. It's not the cookie that's made. You still have to do that part. It's just it's the chocolate chips that you put in something.
Yeah, it just bothers me when you say things like just a bag of chocolate chips, as if a bag of chocolate chips
is just a thing.
Enough.
Well, it looks really good. The cookie that's on the bag actually looks delicious. So at first glance, I thought, oh, that's the cookie that we get to eat. That's what we're making, but it's not. You got to do that part of it.
It is. You are going to have to put in a little work. But hey, guys, glitter.
Yay! Glitter,
wow!
Glitter items that you can eat from Toll House. Yay!
I'll take some glitter.
We'll try it. It seems like it's something that's worth trying, especially maybe in pancakes. That could be good.
Oh, man. Yeah, then with a little bit of peanut butter and some syrup. By the time I'm done, everything about you is going to glitter.
Proper planning prevents poor performance. Clearly, the Riot didn't properly plan. This is the worst of the Riot on Radio U.
Sometimes you find a suspicious package. You got to call in the bomb squad, Nikki.
You got to.
What you got to do?
Make sure. Never done that, but also I don't think I've really had a suspicious package delivered before. But I guess it'd be better safe to make sure it wasn't something else.
If come to think of it, what you really should be doing is I probably shouldn't say this out loud. They've thought about it. Whatever. If you're going to deliver a suspicious package, you should just put it in an Amazon box.
Yeah. Then it's not suspicious. You're like, oh, great, I ordered something. It's here already. And you'd
It's
open
finally
it.
here.
You wouldn't even know. It'd be the easiest way to do that.
Yeah. But in this particular case, it was a church, and someone found a bag on the porch, and they were like, oh, we didn't order any duffel bags. It was just a gym bag. So they called the sheriff's office, and then the sheriff was like, send in the squad. And they played their theme song, which was a montage of everybody suiting up, and the bomb squad was on the scene. And then they dug into the bag, and they found sprinkles.
Aww.
Not to be confused with glitter. Mm-hmm.
Aw, Sprinkles is a cat, and she had little kittens. She had 6 of them, and they were in the bag. Aw, someone must have dumped them at the church. They said Sprinkles had her little kittens the day before, and they dropped them off there. Aw.
So I thought it was a metaphor at first. Got to drop the kittens off at the church.
Not heard that one before.
Hey, listen, there's always room for something new, right?
I know, that's a new one. So the Humane Society took the cat and the kittens, and they are, because they're, recovering and stuff from being out there. And I'm assuming they'll let them grow up a little bit, and then they'll probably put them up for adoption.
Actually, I don't think it's contained inside this story, but they have already found placement for this cat.
Oh, for the kittens as well?
And the kittens.
Oh, they say they're currently at a foster family. They were placed with that, and they have a little foster family for cats, and they're spending their time there.
Yeah, so they got their vaccine, their blood test, and the kittens were all cleaned off because they were completely soaked in their mother's urine.
I didn't say that part. I just felt like not saying that, and then I did. I hope he's going to.
I watched you choose not to say it, and I thought, no, let's get all the details.
All the news. All right, well, that was all the details. Obi didn't leave anything out for you guys.
I'm not saying that I liked it either. I'm just saying that if you're going to love an animal, love all of the animal.
You have to, you got to understand all the stuff about it when rescuing a kitten or a cat and her kittens like they did.
Yeah, I couldn't decide how to structure the joke, but the bottom line is whether you're dropping off a bomb or a bag of kittens, they'll both kill me. So,
terribly allergic.
Terribly. Like, give me 10 minutes with a cat and watch me not be able to breathe. But it's cool.
You would not want that at all.
The Riot RadioU.
Man, we've all been there, right? You have that bad restaurant experience, where you go. And I'm not just talking about Taco Bell, okay? Because
it could be any place, honestly.
it could be Burger King, or like an actual nice restaurant. And, again, we all have different ideas of nice. I liked Olive Garden, and as we know, that wasn't good enough for Anderson Cooper. So, yeah, it's hard to be sure. But I'll tell you, you go out, it's no good. And so you sit there, and you're like, okay, maybe this was a one-off. It was just like a one-time thing. I'm going to give them another shot. So you go in one more time. And just like Nikki at that one restaurant where the manager yelled at her and said that she had a $20 bill that was counterfeit.
And I didn't. It wasn't. But he still yelled at me, and it wasn't appreciated.
And you know what Nikki did? She walked out, and she's never eaten since then. She was like, that's it. I'm done.
Well, I've eaten since then, but I didn't want to eat there at that location because if they're not going to treat you nicely at all, then it's just weird.
Ha! So you didn't give up on food.
Right, exactly. Even though that was a stressful situation.
All right, well, let me spin this into this. See, you went to, church one time, a this, a that. You encountered people that were talking about God and how they knew him and all this stuff. And then they were like, oh, and by the way, here's your nasty burrito because we're huge jerks, right? I mean, I want you to know I've had that experience. I hate to think it, but maybe sometime I was somebody's experience. I don't know. But I'll tell you this much. I didn't give up on food when those people were jerks to me. I didn't give up on God when there were some people that didn't treat me well. No, I just realized that this restaurant sucks and I'm going somewhere else. And I got to tell you that God is still real. Jesus still loves you, even though you've had bad experience with Jesus people. You wouldn't give up on food. I don't want you to give up on God, because God is not giving up on you. He loves you. He cares about you. And you know what? Just on behalf of bad experiences everywhere, just let me say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry that you went somewhere and they treated you poorly. I want you to know that God loves you as you are. And if you've never even started a relationship with him, you could just say, Jesus, okay, I'm going to let that go. I want you in my life. I want you to fill me with your spirit. I want to know you, God, for who you are. And that's a great place to start. And again, I'm telling you, there's jerks everywhere. The restaurant, I mean, one day we'll go back to sporting events. There'll be jerks there, but you're not going to give up on the sport. You're going to keep going because it's good. People ruin everything. Don't let them ruin this for you.
The Riot has now been downloaded. I hope you installed some antivirus. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
I don't have a clue how to handle money. Nobody taught me nothing except make sure you have money when you get to the checkout counter. That's the extent of my money management skills. And so I went out, I took a couple classes, and I've had a couple of experiences. Like one time when I had to pay so much money on my taxes, learned that lesson. Another lesson I learned is I will never forget standing in the bank one day just for something, and there was this old lady who was freaking out. And basically, she allowed her electric company to do an auto draft for the bill.
Oh, boy. And
the company had just added a zero, just a little mistake. And instead of charging her, it was like $100. It wasn't even $1,000. I think it was $10,000. Whatever it was, it had cleared out her bank account, put her in overdraft, and on and on and on and on. And so she was in a huge mess. And ever since then, I have never let them auto draft. Like, not the water company, not the electric company. Like those companies that are always after you for an auto draft. I'm like, Well,
after you hear all these details, you should realize you should never have something attached, especially to your checking account, where if all your money was gone, that's all you have currently, because the fight to get it all put back in will take some time and you won't have anything to live off of. So when you hear about this, you must take some time this morning to go to every utility or every account and turn off the automatic pay feature, just taking it automatically out of your account, because there could be a problem one day.
It's crazy. So here's the deal. In Texas, Texas has just been having a banner year so far. Everybody's been like, I wish I could stay in Texas forever. They are having all those utility problems. Well, what they're finding is that a lot of people in Texas, and again, I don't have numbers here. I just know there are some utility companies that will sell you electricity or even gas based on demand. So what you don't get is a fixed price at any one moment.
Sure.
So as demand goes up, the price goes up. So in this unprecedented winter time in Texas, there were people that are getting bills for $15,000, $16,000, $17,000 because the demand for electricity was so high there for a few days that the price skyrocketed. Mm-hmm. And so this is the ugly part of that wavering, non-fixed price that they found themselves in the middle of.
They were saying price gouging is not allowed, especially since Texas is it's under, a disaster. So it's not allowed. They're not supposed to be doing this. But the problem is a lot of people did not find out until, say, through the weekend. And you were encouraged to switch to another company that wasn't set up this way, where the price would change, up and down. But they were already billed for 2 or 3 days at $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a day, that it still caused so much issues that people aren't sure, where do you send the bill? You're not supposed to pay the bill, but what happens? What happens if they already took the money out of your account? And it's just another headache for everybody.
Yeah. So, short story, don't let anybody auto draft if you can avoid it.
Don't.
If you pay online, I know this is going to sound crazy, pay with a credit card and then pay off the credit card. That way you've got a layer of protection between your actual money and somebody that's typing in zeros they don't even know. Or what if it was an auto-generated mistake?
They say, though, that you're not supposed to pay anything at this point. Just wait and figure it out along with everybody else who got their price increase in such a big way in Texas. But don't pay right now. Hang on a second.
Yeah, and they're not allowing, under no circumstances are they allowed to cancel anybody's utilities right now.
Sure.
So let's say you got a bill for $25,000. As Nikki said, you don't pay it. They're not going to turn your electric off.
In case you're wondering, yes, we do get complaints.
They have gone too far. This time, they are going to be held accountable.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Nikki, Netflix, I think, has ruined everything for us. Everything might be a strong statement, but they've ruined us in a lot of ways.
What do you mean?
Well, there was a time, I don't know how many years ago this was, when the idea of like Netflix introduces, a show and you get all of the episodes at once.
Sure.
And so in a weekend, you're watching the entire thing. So that went from being weird to they did it enough, which pressured enough other streaming services into doing it, that it's kind of become the norm. And so now when it doesn't happen, there's a sense of privilege, a sense of outrage, a sense of, you didn't tell me it was going to be like this.
Well, I mean, if you try to think back, like what show, because Stranger Things, those always came out
Yes,
all
they
at
did.
once, right? So I'm trying to think, well, when did it actually start to where even Netflix will do it now once a week? Or let's see, Amazon was always really big into that.
Amazon they were like the once a week company. Mm-hmm. It's not that they've never dumped a whole season, but they usually did the once a week thing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think back what was the turning point for Netflix and others to make sure that you had to watch once a week and you wouldn't get them all at once.
Well, I was seriously bummed out over the weekend. For All Mankind, it's on Apple Plus, which is the reason no one's watching it. Because every single person that I talk to about it, they're like, oh, yeah, I don't have that, and I'm not getting it.
They're not interested in that, but this is the second season of the show.
Yeah, now the first season of that show, you got it all at once. Beautiful. But now, Friday or Saturday night, I sit down to watch it. I'm excited. I get in one episode. I didn't have time for two. And so I spent all day Sunday like, yeah, dude, as soon as I get back, more for All Mankind. Maybe I could get 2, 3. There's enough time for 6 episodes. Come on, like we can do this. Get downstairs, turn it on, log in, all set. Apple TV remote in my hand. Coming next week, episode 2. What?
Oh, you only got one? Oh, sometimes they'll give you 1 or 2. Like, they'll throw you a bone and you'll get an extra one. Oh, man, that's too bad.
1 episode.
Aww.
It was... I didn't even know what to do. I just sat there with the remote in my hand for a while, contemplating the future and how we got here. But, jeez.
Well, John texted. He said, I think once a week format was a huge part of the Mandalorian success. And that's a good call on that one. And if you think back to like Wandavision, that's once a week. But didn't that first weekend they gave us 2 episodes, I think?
They gave us 2 episodes in the first week. It's true. But I'm just saying, okay, it really, as I started thinking about it, it came back to Netflix brought us this idea of, getting to watch all these different shows. But part of what they came out with was like, hey, not only are we collecting them in one place, but we're going to change the game. We're not just, changing the delivery of the format. We're going to change like the quantity and how we do it. And now, basically, this is like the last hurdle to this just being cable. It's just cable now.
But
like
you understand, it really does make sense as a business model to string everybody along because they want you to pay as much or as long as possible. So it does make sense why. It's just, part of me doesn't mind sometimes with certain shows because I don't mind the wait, and the anticipation of like having it finally out is not a bad thing all the time, but I don't think it's worth it for every show for them to wait.
I don't disagree with you. The thing, and whoever it was that texted that said that about the Mandalorian, I
John.
think there's room for the fact that it keeps it in the public eye for longer because if you're just watching it once on a weekend, you probably don't come back to it. You only have to pay for 1 month of the service, and people are only talking about it for a week or whatever, when they could be talking about it for 3 months. I don't think it's bad. There's part of me that is glad that they're going to drag this out and I'm going to have to enjoy this over a long period of time. But I'll tell you, Sunday afternoon me, not super happy with those choices.
The worst podcast with the best listeners. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
I went on a long, somewhat nonsensical rant about TV release schedules. And I'm surprised how many people have been sounding off and saying, no. I like the once-a-week format versus getting the entire season all at once.
People like to be able to have something last longer than just the one weekend you happen to get through a show.
So I want to say hi to David, Scott, Zach, and John, all who had something to say. Oh, and Trevor as well. I don't know. Like, I do like it. It is a lot of pressure when they give you the entire season, and there's that feeling of, if I don't watch this entire season by Monday, it will be spoiled for me.
Sure. Oh, yeah, that's a good call on that.
Like, someone is going to spoil it at some point. The only thing I will say, though, is now that we've gone to we only get a day, I don't think there's a single episode of Wandavision that hasn't been spoiled some way, somehow for me, because now, like, our statute of limitations is shorter. So whereas with some of those, shows that were 10 episodes, you'd get like a week maybe from news sources. Man, Saturday morning, open up my app and it's just like, boom, here's what happened on Wandavision.
That's just because that's Wandavision. I mean, the amount of people who, like, the Easter eggs, like all the stuff, the play-by-play of every single episode, comparing it to other movies, that's its whole thing. People enjoy doing that. They love spending extra time to dissect each and every episode. So you're going to get more spoilers faster because, man, they work on that like a Friday night. They've got it ready to go.
Yeah, it's so I even took the time, Nikki, like, knowing what you just said, to not look at YouTube, to stay off of Twitter, and not hop on, like, no social, not even Instagram, like, just stayed off of all of it. Like, it's going to be fine. And then there it was. Somebody messaged me a spoiler saying, I told you blank. And I was like, oh my gosh. It just came up. I was able to read it in the notification that popped up on my phone. And I was just like, you have got to be kidding me.
We've got to be better than that and better at not doing that. Ashley just texted. She said, I'm annoyed with WandaVision because each week it ends with so many questions. I wish I could binge through it so she wasn't so confused after the end of each episode, that you could just keep going.
I will tell you, I have turned into one of those people that when it's all over, watches a YouTube video to have somebody point out all the things that I didn't see. Like, how many times do we see a hexagon-shaped item, and et cetera, et cetera. That's become like an interesting after show thing for me to sit down with YouTube and do that. And you need that because the episodes are 30 minutes, and then you get, I think it's like 20 minutes of commercials or something. But
well, then on the other side, though, you were on Sunday wanting to watch season 2 of For All Mankind, and when there was just one episode, you can also be disappointed in that, too.
It's a little disappointing. But you know what? It's fine. It's fine.
The Riot is well-versed on many different topics.
They're shy at first, but they're quite skilled at conversation.
This is The Riot on RadioU.
Nikki, how far would you be willing to go to get the COVID vaccine? And I don't mean how far would you drive?
I don't know. It depends, because, I mean, I think most of us listening would be low down on the list. Like, it's still currently, I think, 65 and older at that point, or if you're maybe a teacher or something like that. But believe it or not, us in the radio world are real low on the list. So
yeah,
I don't think so. I would think that maybe some people, if you're so low on the list, maybe then you are a bit desperate if you really want to get it.
Okay, now let me ask you this, Nikki. Would you waste a fool?
Would I waste a fool? You mean hurt somebody in order to get in line?
No. Yes or no?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think I would.
All right. Okay, all right. So right now we've established a line.
Yeah,
it may not be the only line, but that's your line. Okay.
Yeah, I have a line.
Would you bribe a county official?
No, I would not.
Okay. All right. So we've moved the line a little bit more. Would you don a wig and some clothes and look like an old woman in order to get moved up the line for the vaccine.
Are you talking about the two ladies that were caught after the second shot, mind you, not even the first shot? But yeah, I saw their story. I would not dress up to try to pretend to be elderly in order to get in a spot.
You wouldn't?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, so I guess there's another line. So Nikki wouldn't hurt someone, bribe someone, or wear a costume.
No. So these two, I think they were in their 30s, maybe.
Wait. One more question.
Yeah.
What if I was just there and I had the shot and I could lean over and give it to you? Still too much?
Yeah, I still don't want to. It's still too much. Can I just wait?
Can you put it in my food? I'm already eating.
I do know that you can do that for some areas where they're having, large stadiums that you go in. You can wait a few hours, and if there's any at the end that would otherwise be destroyed, you can go in and try to get them that way. But otherwise, people are resorting to other ways to skip and get in the line.
Yeah, so there we have it, Nikki. We've got the COVID vaccine, as you were saying, two people that snuck ahead of the line, and the first time it worked. They got the first vaccine.
They dressed up as elderly women, flashed their ID, because it does show your ID, and I don't know if the person just wasn't paying attention to the picture on the ID versus what they were dressed like. So they were successful, though, in getting the first shot. When they went back for their second one, I don't know if they didn't dress up that time or what, or if they did, the person actually noticed that they're not elderly, and they got in trouble because then they realized this was their second shot, that it must have worked the first time.
So here's what I'm wondering, though, and I haven't been able to figure this out. Did they get the second shot?
No, they caught him before. Well,
okay, but
I don't know if they just gave it to them. I don't know. That is a good question. I'm not sure.
It is true that before they got the shot, it was like in that process that they got identified as being like something's wrong, and the sheriff's department got involved. But there's just this element of like, okay, these people have had the shot. Do you go ahead and give it to them or no? Like how did that work? And I don't know the answer to that. Like I have yet to find an article that will tell me whether or not they got the closer shot, because I mean, hey, they got the intro shot.
Yeah,
what about the other one?
It doesn't work if you don't take the other one. They wore hats and gloves. And then during their second time, when they showed up at the Orange County Convention Center in Florida, in Orlando, they were there to get their second dose. And that's when they realized that they were younger ladies dressed up as grannies to get the second vaccine.
And I mean, we're talking, the one lady was in her mid-30s, other lady in her mid-40s. So it wasn't like they were 19 looking for the shot. They were, quote unquote, what do you call that, middle-aged? However old it was, that's where they were. They were pretending to be in their 70s. Mm-hmm. They were half that age.
So at that site, they do about 2,500 appointments a day vaccinating people. And there it is still also 65 and older. So that's why they were found out when some fire rescue workers were screening and checking in people for coming in, and that's when they noticed something was different. So it wasn't like a volunteer who didn't maybe know that you're supposed to check everything. These rescue workers were there, and they noticed that they were not the age that they were dressed up as.
Something's fishy here.
They said it's not the first time someone has tried to work the system to get a shot. He had someone who was 65 or not 65, but they showed up using their elderly father's ID to try to get their first one, too.
I know somebody that was 68, and they were going to try to sneak in and get the shot. But by the time they pulled that off, they had lowered the age to 65. Then it was open for their age.
I gotcha.
I'm not going to name any names.
There are some people that shouldn't have their own podcast. And by some people, we mean these people. Radio U's Worst of the Riot podcast.
Do you know what starts tomorrow night?
What starts tomorrow night?
The Superman show.
There's another Superman show?
Aww. I know. There's part of me that feels that way too, but I'm trying to remain optimistic.
No, see, the difference is some of us really don't remember that there's a new Superman show, but it's on the CW, I assume.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
They give chances to show sometimes. But it's called Superman and Lois, and it starts up tomorrow night. And the idea is that Clark and Lois got married, and they have kids, and their kids are 14 now. And I guess it's like they're getting ready to tell him, like, hey, by the way, your dad's Superman. So I think that seems to be one of the hooks that they're kind of unveiling. And, because, like, of course they don't believe him. So one of the promo shots is him lifting a truck to prove that he's actually Superman. But I don't know. I'm curious about it. The show's supposed to take place in Smallville. I think it sounds interesting. I don't know. Will it be? I have no idea. I don't know, but I'm going to find out.
Are people kind of like interested, or everybody just like, whatever?
Well, it's hard to say. I have a friend of mine who is, would I consider myself a Superman fan? Yes. Would a true Superman fan consider me a fan? No. They'd be like, no, your fan is not good enough. Yeah. It's not good enough. But I have a friend of mine who is really a fan, and he is disinterested. He's like, yeah, I'll watch it, whatever. So I don't know. I would love for it to be good, and I'm really hopeful that it doesn't feel like every single other show on the CW.
Well, good luck on that. But it's weird. I haven't seen hardly anything, or pretty much not anything about it. But maybe since we're talking about it, now we'll finally start to see some ad stuff on it.
I knew it was coming, like this I knew, but I haven't been hit by a single ad, and I've barely seen anybody talking about it in my personal Twitter feed. And if it weren't for this write-up in Variety, I wouldn't even know that it was coming out tomorrow.
Where do you go when you need someone to listen to your problems and give you a big hug? Not here. Obviously, this is The Riot on Radio U.
It feels like it's hard to know day to day, moment to moment. Like, can you travel? Should you travel? And when you go there, well, you have to quarantine. So do I have to book a 6-week vacation so I can spend 5 days out and about? Because you got to quarantine on this end, and then you got to quarantine on that end. And then why are the numbers dropping so much? Like the COVID numbers. You know what I mean? Like, when we get below a certain number, can I not quarantine then? Or like, how's it supposed to work?
It depends, and it changes, and it depends on where you're going, and it's not always the same every time you travel. So you just have to, if you're going to travel somewhere, you got to do your research and figure out what you need to do wherever you're going.
Well, here's something great, Nikki. John Trell and Nadia, 29 and 28 years old, they were passing through the airport there in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. They were like, this whole quarantine thing, like, what's it going to take for the two of us to get out of quarantine today? I'm going to slide this envelope across the table. You just see what's in the envelope, and you let me know if you suddenly are looking in a different direction.
I think for a while, like, if you go and take they didn't have negative COVID test. If you go and take a COVID test and bring it within a certain amount of time, bring it with you and show it when you land, then you can skip quarantine. But they didn't do that part. They did not have, they had to go quarantine because they didn't bring with them any negative COVID tests.
So they slid him the $2,000, and he was like, and then they were like, that's okay. Here's another $1,000. Man, what the heck? COVID tests are like $50, free in some places. It would have been so much easier to just take the test.
Why would they not? They just wanted to bypass the restrictions. So they would have had to do a 10-day quarantine without the negative test. You're right. It would have just been easier and way cheaper if they just would have brought that with them.
Wow. I'm amazed at what people are willing to do, one, and two, able to do. I couldn't afford $3,000 to bribe somebody out of quarantine.
Well, if you could, that's what you probably spent to get to Hawaii in the first place. That's your vacation money right there. They said they'll throw in more money if they just could go through without quarantine. But the screener alerted the deputy sheriffs. They arrested them for bribery.
Well, I'll tell you, Nikki, when this summer, I had plans to maybe go to Hawaii because I have a family member getting married in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, we're going to have so much fun. We'll all go. No, we've pretty much given up on that.
Well, if you just brought your negative test with you, it'd be fine.
Good. I'll just get another test. At this point, I figure every day if I just drive over there and get tested.
Yeah, you'll be okay to go in. Just don't bribe anybody and you'll be fine. They were booked on charges, released before being flown back to the mainland. They were not allowed to stay in Hawaii. The offense of bribery can carry up to 15 years in prison and a fine that goes up to 3 times the amount of what you were trying to bribe with.
Well, that means that it could be a cool 9,000, 15 years. And I'm sure they'll probably not have to do that.
People win awards for being the best at things. Are there awards for the worst? Because we have a contender. Worst of the Riot Podcast.
So, Nikki, I had a little encounter with the airlines this weekend.
You did?
You know, I had 3 trips planned in a 6-month period. All of them canceled. I got to blame COVID-19 for all of it. But it's fine.
He was supposed to go on his very first cruise trip, which was supposed to be back in January, but those aren't even going out. So there was no way to go on that.
Yeah. So, the cruise company was like, hey, if you'll let us keep your money and book another cruise, we'll give you $400 in onboard credit. I was like, no.
You could get cruise bucks. You could get extra money there.
My thought was literally, I wonder if your company is going to go bankrupt and then I don't get any money.
Yeah.
So I just got my money back. Okay. So a different airline, though, because I had tickets booked to go to the actual cruise location. I had to cancel those flights.
Yeah.
Well, they're like, oh, in these trying times, Blank Airlines is here to help you as you transition through various things. We're going to give you e-bucks. Now, they had no option to get your money back.
Oh,
right?
Really?
And it gets better. It gets so much better. They're like, okay, you know what? We're not going to charge you any change fees. We'll give you a credit, and you can use that credit to whatever. Now, for whatever reason, this credit code they gave me multiple times never shows as having any actual money attached to it. But they're like, no, it's just the thing. It's fine. We promise you the money's there. This is the amount that's attached to that, whatever. So let me bottom line this. You can't book online using this COVID transfer credit thing.
Yeah.
You have to book with an agent. I called the airline yesterday to potentially book something.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. And when I did that, they were like, oh my gosh, this was so incredible. It was a moment. I didn't believe it. I was like, I'm in another universe. This can't be real. They're like, there's a longer than normal hold time, which is what they say every time you ever call.
Sure.
Longer than normal is normal. Okay. That's their new normal. But then the little robot thing is like, we have an estimated wait time of 4 hours and 52 minutes.
4 hours? Oh my gosh. They want to scare you off. And you have to speak to somebody. It's not like you can just go online. Oh, you know what you need to do? You
just
need
go to the airport?
No. Well, yeah, that actually would work.
Do you know you can actually do that? I've done that before. If you're having a really hard time on the phone or online, you can drive over to the airport and talk to somebody at the counter.
If not, I would find what hours they open up. If it's not like 24 hours, you got to call right at the very start. You got to get up real early and you got to call then.
Oh my gosh, it's insane.
4 hours.
I think I might just drive over to the airport. It's on the way home from the studio. And as long as there's not a departing flight in that window, I almost feel like the airlines don't want you to know this, but you can just walk in. You can ask questions. You can book travel. You can do all that stuff that you would do with somebody on the phone that they don't like answering.
Yeah.
And you can do it right there with a live person.
Now, you might not like this, but you could also just wait on hold and do other stuff around it because maybe they're just lying to you. It would
I thought
actually
about
be
that.
4 hours and you're going to call them on it.
I thought about that. I gave it about 20 minutes, and then it was like, you know what? I can't maintain this.
You need to do at least an hour or so if you're really going to go into it.
Nah, forget it. I think I'm just going to go over, and that way, you know, if the person behind the counter doesn't seem to be able to help me, I'm just going to say, all right, I'll just sit here until you fix it.
just figure it out like I would if I was having to wait 4 hours on hold.
I mean, I'm going to sit here. I might as well. No, that's when, airport police gets involved and they let you sit in the little jail cell.
You're listening to The Riot. Let's all work together today to live life with the patience of a Nikki dealing with an Obadiah.
Gotta hang in there and get through it.
You're listening to The Riot.
One of the most important things that Nikki and I can continue to do is to day after day report on Apple rumors. And
it's a pleasure for us to be here to spread those rumors and see what they say.
I want to make sure that every single day she and I are just dialed right in to what is happening there because Apple rumors are important. They affect us all. And this will give us an opportunity that if those Biden bucks ever come through, we'll know if we need to save any of them for an upcoming Apple purchase.
So they're saying that the new rumors are for a third generation Apple AirPods with what they would look like, what they would look like, and the case for it as well. And they say that it might actually arrive as soon as next month, as in early next month.
So the thing about this, though, Nikki, these are just AirPods. They're not AirPods Pro.
Sure.
So do you and your completionist AirPod lifestyle, will you need to purchase these? Or since you have the AirPods Pro, would you keep those?
I think I'm over there now. So I still have my old AirPods as like a backup if needed, but I don't think it'd be worth updating those just to have this next one.
Okay. All right. You sure?
I'm sure.
Like right now, Eric's not in line. Wait, you can't even go into an Apple store. What am I saying?
There hasn't been lines forever. So they're saying that the potential leaks for the AirPods. Okay, the potential looked features an AirPods Pro in-ear design that is missing the removable ear tip elements, but it would look more like a Pro. And they're saying the case looks to be a size down design, and that would also be in line with the AirPods Pro look of things.
Well.
But it's not the Pro. It's just back to the AirPods, the normal ones.
Yeah, now we need the AirPods Pro 2 Max. But then again, the AirPods Max are the over-the-ears, so that can be confusing.
Those are the more expensive ones. I'm curious how those are actually selling for them. So they're saying, again, if you want the third-generation Apple AirPods and the new case with it, that might be, according to these leaks that they're having with the leaked images, that could be early next month.
Oh, man, I'm getting so excited about the headphones I'm not buying. Oh, my gosh.
What's worse than the worst of the riot? The worst of the riot podcast. Yeah, you did this to yourself. Podcast. Riot. Radio U.
I'll tell you right now, if Nikki decided to do a Zillow listings reaction YouTube channel, she'd be rich because people would absolutely pay to watch her react to
people's listings. I don't understand some of the stuff that they do, and I try to be kind and respectful, but I am still worried about some of the things that I see.
So Nikki and I are looking at this listing on Zillow, $650,000 in Lake Tahoe, California. They're saying that it's, let's see, let's get some more stats.
It looks
here.
like it's two units. Like there's a bottom floor and then there's a top floor because there's more than one kitchen. So it seems like it's two places.
They call it multifamily, Nikki. It was built in 1962. The price per square foot, about $300 per square foot. It's 2,100 square feet inside the house. So, a lot of exciting things there. Nikki and I are looking through it, and it just looks like a dirty place.
It's, the first couple of pictures that you get in, and then there's more.
It's like it's dirty,
there's
dirty.
more.
And then by the time you get to the 12th photo, suddenly things take a very decided turn.
Oh, why do they have all these mannequins? They're all dressed up in like prom wear and stuff. It's really interesting. Really interesting.
The house is full of, and it must just be the other floor. Like there was the one floor and then the other floor. It's full of these mannequins, as Nikki said, kind of like, think prom dresses, like very glamorous, whatever. What's really weird is when you get to the one that's full of the female mannequins, it's very clean.
Yeah. But oh my gosh, it's weird. It's very weird.
It's like the downstairs was a bunch of guys lived there and it was filthy. And then the upstairs, one man lived there.
I don't know what it is. Did you see the one bedroom? It has like a couple of those kid dolls too, the ones that look real. And there's one guy mannequin. It just it goes next level in that room. All right. How, in the market nowadays, you can sell anything because real estate is really up there right now. But I wonder how long has this been on the market for? I'll have to look up this info.
Oh, wait, it's right here. It's been on the market for 2 days.
2 days. I'd feel like I'd have to go in and I'd have to redo everything. And I might feel like I just need to just clean it out, and I don't know. I don't know how, but you got to do something.
I'll tell you what I feel like I need for this house. I'm going to need 2 things. I'm going to need a cleaning crew and a priest. I'm going to need both.
A lot of people use like sage, and I'm thinking we need something stronger than that. And I also don't want to clean some of it. I just want to tear it apart. Like you're going to have to come in with new stuff. But 2 days only. It's a lovely duplex that, it's located close to casinos, beaches, shopping, and skiing, and the only cinema in town.
And a mannequin factory.
Do you think those stay with it?
And a dress barn.
Or is the people going to take it with them?
Oh, I don't know. I think this person's dead. That's.
They say the property to be sold as is. So that means they're not making any changes if you wanted them to.
This person's dead. And then like their kids came in and they were like, oh my gosh. Just kidding. They didn't have any kids, but I'm just telling you. But the other side of it is leaving these mannequins in place. This thing's been looked at 580,000 times in 2 days. Someone's going to buy it.
Someone will buy it and they'll just clean it all out. And I'm sure it'll be a lovely place afterwards.
So can you buy holy water like in bulk, like gallon jugs or?
Well, I'm afraid it'll light on fire accidentally if you start using the holy water in it. I don't know.
The holy water burns the building down.
It does.
Giving every novelty food the publicity it so blatantly desires. It's The Riot on Radio U.
So Nikki, seems like maybe a little somebody dropped by with something for you.
Yeah, it was so sweet. I assume it was because it was my birthday on Friday, and I was talking about ginger ale last week. I was trying to find the peach one, and there's a bunch of other flavors, but someone sent me a couple of cases of ginger ale for Canada Dry, my favorite. They just had Walmart deliver them, so whoever sent that, thank you so much. It doesn't show your name. I really wish it did, but thank you for sending the cases of drinks my way. So I see. It was
that's so nice.
I know, it's super sweet. So I'll make sure to share it too. But thank you for being so kind and sending some my way.
Man, I didn't realize that Canada Dry was like really wandering out into the flavor categories.
Well,
they've got
It's just hard to find them. They're so spread out. So like different, I think, sections of the country get certain special flavors, or you can pay way extra if you just buy them all on Amazon.
Yeah, boy, that peach apparently is their real sweet spot because these Amazon prices for it are insane.
I think it's like it's in the $30 for like 8 of them. But a lot of people are mad because they think it's like 8 sets of like.
No, it's just 8 bottles.
It's just 8 bottles. That's it. But it's really hard to find the peach one. The lemonade one I've had a lot. Our area has that. But the Canada Dry lemonade stuff, that's really good. I got the blackberry one. That's all right. And then there's like a pineapple one as well. So there's a lot of them. Canada Dry gets flavors too.
Yeah, I guess. I had no idea, though I will tell you, I saw a friend the other day, and he had showed up to this thing with a Canada Dry 2-liter. Yeah. And I was just like, Nikki's not alone. There's a Canada Dry 2-liter here.
Yeah, there's other people that drink it, too. That's my go-to favorite drink.
Given the option, people are choosing ginger ale.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew? What a weird, wacky, wonderful world.
Well, it's nice to hear there's others out there, too. It's not just me.
The Riot isn't all bad, but this is the worst of the Riot. Radio U.
Welcome to the show. Everybody's really glad you're here, especially Taco Bell. They want you to get in real close and hear what's happening, Nikki. Taco Bell,
like just coming out as a reminder, Wednesdays when the new McDonald's chicken stuff comes out. So, of course, Taco Bell wanted to send out some details today and get a little jump on that on what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, they got their own in the Great Chicken War of 2020-2021. You know, it's still going on out there.
Well, it's the one that went on in like 2019. So like it's a long-standing war.
Yeah, sometimes you take a little break and you're right back at it. Well, Taco Bell is going to be making their own chicken sandwich / taco. Now, you're not going to be able to get it everywhere. You're only going to be able to get it starting March 11th in Nashville, Tennessee, and Charlotte, North Carolina, though they're saying it's highly likely that it will get a national rollout later this year. Mm-hmm. So it looks like a taco. But it's not a tortilla shell. It's a chicken sandwich taco, and basically they're putting it on something that's called puffy bread. So instead of a taco shell, it's their puffy bread. And that's what they're just going to make the chicken sandwich taco out of. Yes. And so it's basically, it's a fried piece of chicken. Yeah. Meat, all white chicken marinated in jalapeno buttermilk before being seasoned with signature Taco Bell seasonings. Then it's rolled in a tortilla chip breading. The chicken is placed into the shell. It actually, it looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like everything else that you get from chicken wise from all the places. But again, March 11th, and it's only in Nashville and in Charlotte, North Carolina. Those locations first, and then a national rollout later on. Well, I'll tell you this right now, that if, I don't know, I guess what I'm saying is I would be willing to risk it to try this. It would be something you would try. It looks pretty good.
The worst of the riot is over, but the fun can keep going.
Hey, I saw you checking out my goods.
Check the Riot blog or stalk us on social media.
You want to sample them? A little try before you buy, huh?
Through riot.radiou.com.
The Pringle Man sold his soul.